What is up, you guys? And today this is going to be a fully in-depth guide and a guide on how to start young All For One. If you guys are interested in this character but you just could not find a playstyle for him or you couldn't see his vision, I am going to teach you his vision, because this character is a lot more nuanced and a lot less basic than he may seem. I promise you, there are a lot of little texts and little different things that you can do to make this character work that will help you, even 3v1 people. Like, this character has insane potential if you put in enough time to master him, and I think that I'm not going to be cocky and say I have mastered him, but I will say that I do have a lot of experience on this character and he is my main, so I feel like I should be the one to teach you guys, so let's get into it. So for starters, Young All For One is a character that specializes in AoE, and if you don't know what AoE means, it means area of effect. So essentially, AoE is like this: big ball, big beta, area. In the community, there's a meme that they literally call him Area for One. So he is a character that specializes in AoE, and he is very good at dealing with multiple opponents very quickly, very efficiently, but that means that he also has a lot of end lag and a lot of startup to his moves, so he is very easily put into a vulnerable state. So you must be wary of that when you are playing him. Since he is an AoE character, this increases his 2v and 3v1 potential exponentially. There have been multiple times in this character where a situation has seemed hopeless, but I have clutched it out because of his massive AoE and his incredible damage output. This character's damage output is actually insane if you learn how to optimize it correctly. Before we get into the specifics of his moves, I will say that your two most important abilities are Beta and your special action, both versions of your special, your tap and the flight. For example, the tap special depends on the matchup. So for example, when fighting a Hawks, Bakugo, Cementoss, Ibarra, Frappy, Lady Nagant, or even the newest release, Tokoyami, those characters' win conditions and mobility options and battle defining moves lie within the special actions. For example, you have Tokoyami's Dark Shadow Cloak that allows him to give him the incredible melees. That is Tokoyami's win condition. Without it, Tokoyami basically sucks. I'm gonna be so honest. Lady Nagant's Snipe Shot, that is a big part of her threat factor. If she doesn't have Snipe Shot, she is not an easy threat to kill, but she is a lot easier to deal with. Now, for the Insta Revive characters, everyone hates these guys. Cementoss, Frappy, I'm counting Kurogiri too, because he is also annoying with that. Ibarra, did I say Ibarra already? But yeah, Ibarra, Cementoss, Frappy, those characters get nerfed significantly in team fights when you take away their special action. The special action field, we'll go over it more in depth later, but it lasts for 10 seconds. And 10 seconds in this game 10 seconds in this game is enough to get fully OTK'd. You can fully OTK 2 people within 10 seconds. That is a very long time to not have basically your win con. So that's why I say that his special action is one of his most important abilities. Now we're going to move on to his 3 basic quirk abilities, his Alpha, Beta, then Gamma. So obviously for his Alpha, we have Thunder Sepulture. It is a basic standard projectile with a moderate travel speed, very generous hitbox, and in my opinion for the type of ability that it is, a fairly slow reload speed of 2 seconds per charge, and I think the penalty reload speed is around 10 seconds or 8 seconds or something like that. And since his reload speed is fairly slow for an Alpha, you have to manage your ammo count very precisely, as also at level 1, it has an ammo count of 6, and at level 9, it has an ammo count of 8. So it is a very basic in that regard as well. The damage on it is great. The damage on it is fantastic. That is not the problem of this ability. This ability is everything you could ever possibly want in a character like this. This is a perfect alpha for this character. The devs have absolutely nailed it with this alpha. This alpha is very strong without making it feel like it's very overpowered. There are some situations where it can feel overpowered, but that is just because you are honestly just taking advantage of the type of ability that it is. As you probably already noticed, after a short delay of firing the laser, it will explode after a short delay. And it does this after reaching its max range or by coming into contact with an obstacle. It does not explode on the opponent if you do like this. It will just fly right past them. So precisely aiming your beta towards it right here so they can get hit by both the laser and the AoE is very important to reach your max damage potential. And that comes into play with All For One's general playstyle. This character rewards you for being above the opponent at all times. So that's why I strongly recommend Space Hop, and we'll get into more tuning details at the end of the video. Moving on to the fire rate. The fire rate is exceptional. It is amazing. It is great. This is a very, very generous, very respectable fire rate, allowing you to pile on damage quickly and efficiently without putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. Moving on to a more statistical section of the ability, the knockdown value of the ability is a bit awkward, but it works. Both the laser and the AoE is 100 down power, which means it will take 2.5 alphas to fully hard knock the opponent. As you can see, 1, 2, 3. And since it hard knocked on the laser there and the AoE did not get a chance to damage the opponent. So that's why I say 2.5. If you are unsure what knockdown value or down power is, I will briefly go over it right now. It is the knockdown value unit that an attack applies, and if a character receives 500 of these in a short enough window of time, they will be forcefully knocked down, granting you invincibility for about like a second or like 2 seconds before you use an ability or a melee. If you use an ability or a melee move, it will immediately cancel it. But if it is a flight character, like All For One, Tokoyami, Endeavor, Hawks, I think those are the only ones that have like flight special actions, you will keep your iframe. So essentially, that also means during the 3-2-1 phase, when the round is beginning, you can do your special action because this counts as an air dash. You're not actually tapping the button. You're just tapping your sprint key. Overall, AFO's down power is very, very flexible. It is a bit awkward in some areas, but it's not awkward to the point where it nerfs him. It's awkward to the point where the value is weird, or it's just very unusual, or something like that. But that perfectly segues into what I think is his most important ability by far, his beta skill. Meteor, Annihilation, and then you have Meteor. It's a 2-stage attack. So for All For One's beta, the tap version, this is the most basic part of the ability. It's an AoE attack that travels in a straight line over a short period of time, staggers the opponent, it helps control an area, and is the main setup that unlocks a plethora of his combos and combat pressure. Since this attack is not instant, the balls do take some time to drop. It is very quick, but it will take some time. You will have to lead your shot in the area that you predict the opponent is going to roll, or going to walk, or just going to move in that direction. So for example, let's look at Bakugo here. Let's say if Bakugo is moving to the left or moving to the right, I will put my beta where he is about to be. Moving on to this move's strong suits. This ability's range is actually like literally insane. It is very far range. Let me just go on top of a building and show you how far I can control an area if I wanted to. I can control this entire forest right here if I wanted to. Or its entire section of the forest. If there are a bunch of people in this one straight line, I can control this entire forest and then combo a bunch of people at once. Because this AoE on the alpha is going to hit more than one person. It is a very big AoE. This attack sets up All For One to deal massive damage very quickly, and due to its generous AoE, it is a very consistent combo and damage source. The main combo you want to do with this ability, no matter what you are doing, is landing one alpha right after the beta connects. And if you like an easy setup for the special action, you can land at 2 if you are fast enough. See what you do beta? Alpha. And look at that. That was damn near a guard break. You can also incorporate special action if the opponent is someone that you really need to take their special action away in order for you to win the fight. Now, this ability is not all sunshine and rainbows. This ability does have some fundamental flaws to it. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the ability and the spacing in between the dark balls falling, and the fact that there are 2 different hitboxes with varying amounts of damage, the damage on the beta on its own can be very inconsistent. So that's why comboing it with your alpha or special action is mandatory to do very good burst damage very consistently. The dark ball itself is a hitbox, and the explosion of the ball hitting the ground is a hitbox as well. The max damage you can connect with this attack is around 180 at the highest level. See, I didn't even hit it right there. It's very inconsistent. Let me see if I can get it. 109. 140. 140. It's very inconsistent. It is very hard. 140. Okay, I'll be back when I hit it. 179. There you go. The most common way this move will connect is if the dark ball and the explosion connect. then it would be a semi-consistent 110 damage overall. Once you add an alpha on top of that, it will be around like 230 damage depending on your tuning, but it will definitely hit that over 200 damage threshold. And if you throw in a special action, it will be around 250 to 270 damage depending on your tuning, of course, like I just said. Now moving on to this ability statistics besides just damage output, the reload speed is very good. It is very generous, with it being 6 seconds per charge at the lowest level and 5 at the highest, and it can even reload in the air, with the penalty reload if you use all of your ammo being around 9 seconds at the highest level, which is very forgiving considering the fact that All For One relies on this move so heavily to do anything meaningful in a team fight. The down power on this move, I should say, is abnormal to say the least. Every single hitbox on this move, aside from one of the hitboxes on the hold version, is exactly 180 down power, which allows this move to create some devastating combos while having surprisingly extremely high amounts of damage. And that helps me perfectly segue into the hold version of this move, Meteor. This attack is a very slow moving gigantic AoE dark ball that inflicts insane damage to anyone within range. The base damage before tuning at the highest level is 200 damage flat, which is extremely threatening and respectable for how easy this ability will be to dodge. I've timed this, by the way. The attack takes roughly 3.5 to 4 seconds to fully finish from the initial point of casting it to exploding on the ground. Similar to the tap version of this skill, this move also has multiple hitboxes. I'll bet it only has 2 as opposed to the tap version's 3 hitboxes, but as the giant ball is falling, it does small ticks of 5 damage over time that hit stun the target until it hits the ground into the 200 damage final explosion. Now before you judge it too quickly, this part of the attack can seem mediocre and very weak, but I promise you it provides a lot more utility than you may realize. I believe this part of the attack was designed to catch airborne targets and help set up this very slow molasses moving dark ball. So, for example, if a Lady Nagant is using the exploit, like a lot of them do, to stay at the very skybox forever, you are not helpless, by the way. Your alpha cannot reach, and your gamma bullet cannot reach, and your special action cannot reach, but your beta can definitely reach, because the beta spawns from the literal top of the map. So, what you can do is, since the Nagants in the sky that do the glitch, sometimes they aren't moving extremely that fast, they just have just no gravity, so they're not falling. So, what you can do is, you can hold this beta down, do it from the skybox, and those small 5 damage ticks will hit stun her in place, potentially for your teammates that may have more range than you, or if you have space hop or you aren't on a high enough altitude, you can throw in some alphas to deal big damage on her while she's being hit stun by the 5 damage ticks. Or if someone is not on the skybox, but they are still in the air, let's say they're using space hop or something, this move can still hit them. If they're using space hop, these 5 damage ticks can hit stun them and keep them in place for the final explosion. And this explosion is a lot bigger vertically than it is horizontally. So let's say this attack is right here. This ball can still hit them while they're right there. Now these ticks can be very respectable, especially if someone does not move in time. Depending on how long they stay within the ticks, it can turn a 200 damage attack into a very respectable 210, maybe sometimes even 220 damage attack. And like I mentioned before, this move has a very forgiving cooldown. I have speed up on right now, but let me just showcase the cooldown just really quickly for you guys. It is not that long. It is not that long at all. By the time the beta falls, you already have probably 6 seconds left until it is fully back. And while you are waiting for that move to come back, you can transition into AFO's ultimate ability, Divine Judgment, his Gamma. You have nowhere to run. Now, young All For One's Gamma, Divine Judgment, and Crumbling Orb is a multi-stage attack that will take some getting used to and require good knowledge of their specific stats in order to fully master them. First off, you have Crumbling Orb. Once you press the button, you enter this free flight state where you can do one of 4 actions. You can hold your jump button to ascend, crouch to descend, dodge button to cancel the move, or you can click the button again to fire an energy ball that does around 70 damage at the highest level and soft knocks the opponent backwards. Now I know that this 70 damage hit can look feeble, it can look weak. It's less damage than a yellow deku alpha, bruh, and it literally hard knocks them backwards. But this attack can be very annoying to deal with, it does not feel good to get hit by, and it is extremely oppressive against characters that do not have any type of super armor to get out of it. Now speaking of super armor, while you are in this free flight state, you are completely super armored, are granted a 30% damage reduction and a 50% down power reduction, which means you cannot be hit stunned out of the move, excluding grab attacks. Of course, you take less damage, and it also takes you a lot longer to reach the max down power of 500, which normally would take you out of the attack regardless if you got hit stunned or not. Now, I would say this ability's biggest weakness is using it out in the open. Like, using it, like, let's say, like, for this forest, for example. Using this right here would kind of be fine because I'm covered by a bunch of trees and I am obscuring my enemy's vision. But, for example, if I did it right here, there's nothing really covering me all that much, especially over here. Like, doing this move right here would be a bad judgment call on your part. If you are over here, you should not be using Gamma. You should be using Beta, Alpha, Special, cycling between those moves until you try to transition and lead the fight over here so you can have better opportunities to hide yourself while you are charging up for your final explosion. Now, speaking of his final explosion, we have Divine Judgment. This is probably All For One's most powerful attack, but it also shares the same weaknesses as Crumbling Orb. But to quickly summarize this, Young All For One gets a flat stat increase across the board compared to Crumbling Orb. His 30% damage reduction turns to 50%, similar to when Sisterly Disposition was in his prime, and his 50% down power reduction turns into 90%. This may sound insane on paper, but like I said before, this has the same weaknesses as Crumbling Orb. Activating this attack in a wide open area can lead you to get completely beamed down and deleted before you can get any meaningful damage off on this final big explosion. If there are enough characters with high enough damage moves, that 90% down power reduction can actually be a nerf for you. And it takes you way longer to knock over, so that means you are eating all of the damage possible in the world. Now the reload speed of this attack is it's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. The devs definitely meant for this ability to be All For One's trump card, his ace in the hole, if you will. As such, it has a very, very slow cooldown, with that level 1 being 20 entire seconds and at level 9 being 16 seconds. Now to close out the Gamma section, I will say that you should never use this move. Honestly, I would say you can use this part, but do not stay in Divine Judgment, which is the big explosion at the very end. Don't be in this state if you were like less than like 200 health, honestly. Also, yeah, this move does amazing damage. It does 231, I forgot to mention that. But if you were like less than like 200 or 150 health, get out of this state and disengage immediately, because you will get beamed and 9 times out of 10 it will not end well for you. Now lastly, this part segues perfectly into my special action section. This move actually grants you a bit of momentum when you cancel it. You have to hold the jump button, then press the dodge button, and you get a little hop right there, and you get a little bit of momentum and inertia on the end of that. And that combos perfectly into his flight special action, which is coincidentally called Flight Command. Now let's start off with the basics. The name of the move is Flight Command. You hit your sprint button in midair to fly and gain access to aerial mobility. The startup for this move is 40%, and you can fly for around 8 seconds before fully running out of gauge and stopping. The reload speed is very slow once you waste all of the gauge, so never waste all of it. It is a 18 second penalty cooldown, so it is even longer than Hawks's, and Hawks's is extremely bad. So without this, you are a sitting duck for a very long time. 18 seconds is a very, very long time in this game. You can get completely one-shotted and killed by any team comp in 18 seconds. So be very, very careful of this, and this move should not be on penalty, unless you're just very overconfident you can just win any fight without it. Even I try to not to let this move go on penalty, because I have died so many times by letting this move go on penalty cooldown. I did mention before, you have 8 total seconds of free flight after the initial startup cost of 40% before you are forced to stop, but honestly, you should never use the free flight, but instead, you should use this movement tech. My reasoning that you shouldn't use this is because it is slow, it is very easily punishable. Anyone and their mom can shoot you while you're doing this, by the way. Like, it is not hard. Like, aim assist can easily track you. It's bad. Don't use it. It's not good. Do not use the free flight. It wastes way too much gauge. It's more likely to put you on penalty rather than you just doing the movement text that I'm about to showcase. And I just really extremely advise against it. Now, the movement tech that I use, I didn't patent this or anything, but like, it's the movement tech that is commonly known among young AFO players, but it allows you to get insane burst mobility for essentially even farther of the range than doing the entire 8 seconds of the free flight will. So essentially what you want to do is, you want to do special action, alpha, phantom strike, in that order. The quicker you do this, the more you can do it. So essentially, if you do it too slow, you cannot do it again until you reach past 43%. But if you do it quick enough, you can do it in quick succession. Now, I know that I did just say do not let this move go on penalty, and I still mean that. I'm not like retconning myself. Do not let this shit go on penalty. This is only like, for you to do this in quick succession, only do this if you were like in an emergency and you need to run for your life, or if like no one's around and you just honestly don't care about putting it on penalty. That works too. I'm just letting you know, I advise against ever putting this move on penalty, and if you ever catch me doing it on penalty, I still have to improve in that area because obviously I am not perfect. I have played this character a lot, but I have not mastered everything. That will take a lot more than just like the few hundred hours that I have on him. Now, in order to make this tech even a bit better, which is insane, I know, like, how does it get much better than that? You can do Gamma afterwards. And then you can do that. And then for even more burst mobility on the ground, you can do a melee 1. And just, you can kind of just keep doing this. It's pretty fast, to be honest. It might be faster than him just normally sprinting. But if you want to play young AFO, master this tech. It is extremely useful. It is extremely fast burst mobility for a character that can deal out amazing damage so fast. Just look at this. Look at that. All this shield gone already. All of his shield gone. Almost guard broken. And then you have him do this when he wants to disengage. He's in the trees, bro. He's gone. He's in Typhoon now. And moving on to Phantom Strike. AFO kind of second ace in the hole. Kind of his main one. But if we're just excluding Gamma. But essentially, what this move does is that you tap the button to stab an opponent, dealing around 45 damage to the target, and sealing their special action away for 10 seconds. They cannot use it. It's like they're being erased by Aizawa, but they can still use the Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, just the special action is completely gone. Now, this also soft knocks the opponent backward, and no one likes getting staggered. Like, that is a very impactful feeling move. So this obviously is a very oppressive tool. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. This attack does fucking like, what, 50 damage? This is nothing special. It just takes away the special action. Man, who really gives a shit about that? Wrong. The utility you get from this is literally priceless. It is possibly, honestly, I will say this special action by itself, depending on the matchup, is top 10 skills in the entire game. This move costs 15% to perform, and it will take an extra 40% if the attack lands. Also, if you do not hit anyone, the move just keeps reloading. So you can just kind of like, I don't have speed up on. I'm just hitting the button over and over again. You can just do that. Now it's on penalty, but yeah. But that weird, funky mechanic actually turns into the skill rewarding you for missing the attack instead of punishing you like every other skill does, which is very weird, but I don't mind it too much. This is what the attack looks like once you connect it on an opponent. We're left with 55% left. That is that's pretty, so you cannot spam it over and over again, so I'm gonna wait for it to get to 100% again. I think you can do it up to a max of 3 times before the entire attack just says, nope, I'm good, I'm going penalty. 1, 2, 3. Now it's on penalty cooldown. And now for the final section of this guide. Melees, combos, and recommended tuning. Young AFO 1 has a fairly unique 2-hit ground melee, with the first melee being a mini dash attack that can even bypass shields. I will showcase that right now, actually.
You cannot defeat me. Yeah, merely felt that.
Now, in my opinion, this melee is among some of the best in the game in terms of raw pressure and, obviously, to be frank, this speed. Look how fast this is, bro. Here are some combos that start with melee that I think are the most optimal for any given situation. We do melee 1, melee 1, melee 1, 2. Now that is around, about half their guard, about a good like 160, 170 damage, which is great, honestly, for a melee combo. The second combo is kind of not true, but the times that the opponent can actually get out of it is very few and far between. It's M1, Alpha, M1, 1-2. And essentially, let me take off GP Auto, this is a fully guard break combo. Guaranteed. I think it's exactly 250 damage. Now, Young All For One's air melee is, I think, the most unique in the game, like by far, genuinely. Like, it's even more unique than Armin All Might's 3-hit air melee combo. It is very unique. It has a lot of unique properties. First off, it is not a forward momentum based air melee like every other air melee in the entire game, but rather it pushes you backward depending on where you're looking and how close you are to the ground. So, if you're just looking straight on, it'll just push you backward. If you are looking down, it'll push you upward. If you are looking up, it'll push you down and backwards. If you are next to the ground, however, it'll move you forward and backwards and look down. If you are next to an opponent, it will do the same thing. It will track towards them to hit them with the blast. This attack also has a very generous hitbox, so let's look at that. That is crazy. I'm pretty sure I can even go even farther. Yeah, that hitbox is literally really ridiculous. You can also combine it with special action movement for very aggressive mix-up in battle. So, let me show you what this. You can be very, very, very crazy with this melee. It's honestly kind of insane. Now moving on to combos regarding your quirk skills. For your alpha and beta, literally just alpha and beta. Well, shit, he hard knocked there. My bad. Use the beta and alpha. He hard knocked again based on the beta. You see how this damage is very consistent? There you go. Sometimes you can even get a full guard break off that alone. You can do beta alpha special. Gamma ball alpha. If you have to be faster than that, but let me just do that. There you go. That one's a very niche combo. I don't really recommend going for it all the time. It's not something that you really go for. It's kind of something like, let me see if I can do this right now to see if it'll help me in battle. It's just something that you do every now and then, not something you should really prioritize. While the ball is falling, you can actually hit stun your opponent to keep them there for an instant guard break. Or, you know, just spam alphas, bro. The down power is that easy where look at that. Look at that. Bro, that's well over fucking 400 damage. Lastly, for the final part of this video, we're gonna go over recommended tuning. For this character, I highly, highly, highly recommend you start out with Space Hop. Space Hop for this character is essential. It genuinely makes this character from a mid A tier pick to a low S tier pick. I'm not joking when I say that. I know Space Hop is very like overhyped and stuff like that, but there is a reason for that. Space Hop for some characters literally changes the whole game for them. All For One's moves, like I mentioned before earlier in the video multiple times, that he extremely benefits from being above the opponent. Space Hop is your most consistent and most reliable source for doing that. So use Space Hop. Use it, use it, use it, use it, use it. Don't sleep on Space Hop for this character. Now, you can obviously swap out Wall Runner. You don't need it. I run it just in case my special action goes on penalty and I need extra movement at any given time. You can also run Acceleration. Acceleration is also a massive, massive buff for All For One. It is very good for him. And yeah, because his melee is very good. He has a great melee game. You won't have a problem getting this off. So yeah, Acceleration is a good secondary option. Now for normal tunes, obviously GP attack power must have, Gamma attack power very welcomed, Alpha attack power you should prioritize. You should prioritize Alpha attack power above all else because that is your most consistent and your most often source of damage. Now for alternative builds, if you do not have the Villain Costume Rewind version, you could use Villain Costume Wearable Dangerous. This costume is also good. Space Hop, Revenge Support, or even Divine Protection. He has decent mobility to get to the boxes, so that's pretty good too. If you don't have any Hero Souls or anything for this build, you can run, I would say, maybe like Ability Manifest is pretty good too. You can run Ability Manifest and Revenge Support. You can run Willpower too, that's pretty good as well. If you really want to maximize alpha damage and you don't really care about Space Hop, you can run this build, which does double alpha and GP attack power under Fixer, and this makes your alphas guard break in 2 of them. So just 2 full alphas of the laser and the explosion will guarantee a guard break on any opponent. Alright, that's going to be the end of the Young All For One guide. I do know that there are some things that I missed, but there are very, very niche things that I don't think that, like, this is like kind of like to get you started, but also kind of in depth. It's a mix of both, because I included a lot of information, but also I gave you some beginner tips. So I really just want people to really see the vision of this character and understand this guy, he's not fodder, he's not bad, he's really good, he's a bit awkward to get used to, but once you get used to him, he's great, I love him, he's an amazing character, and he finally is a character that truly speaks to me, and he is my favorite character in this entire game, and the devs really cooked with him by not making him extremely broken, extremely overpowered, and they really took the steps to balance him, man. Young All For One is great, he's an amazing character. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what guides you want to see from me possibly in the future. Maybe I could do a Nagant guide. I don't know. There's not much to her. Maybe I could do I already did a Tech Mirror guide. Maybe like, I don't even know. To be a rapid deku guide. Do you guys even want to see that? But let me know what you guys want to see from me in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys later. This attack is a very slow-moving, gigantic. I said gigantic. What the hell?